Good morning, everyone. I hope you are fine. In our lecture today, we will discuss Chapter 8 in Wuthering Heights, a novel by Emily Bronte. This lecture of Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte will discuss Chapter 8 summary that includes Hindley's downfall, Catherine as a double character, Catherine's wild nature, in addition to the commentary of chapter 8 that contains Hindley's disintegration, Nolly favors Heathcliff to Catherine, and lastly, love and cruelty in Wuthering Heights. Also, the main characters in chapter 8 are a doctor, Hindley, Frances, Hindley's wife, Harriton, Hindley's newborn son, Heathcliff, Catherine Earnshaw, Joseph, Nellie, and the Lintons. Setting, main place is Wuthering Heights and time many years before 1801. Now, moving on to the summary of chapter 8. Actually, the summary of chapter 8 includes three important points, as we have just said. The first point is Hindley's downfall. So the question here is that, what are the reasons behind Hindley's downfall? Well, during the following summer, Frances, Hindley's wife, gives birth to Harriton. But Frances dies a week later because she had been suffering from consumption. On her part, Nellie is expected to take complete control of the newborn, Harriton. Hindley is distraught over the death of his wife and becomes tyrannical, forcing all the servants but Nellie and Joseph away. He also begins to treat Heathcliff more cruelly, and Heathcliff delights in Hindley's downfall. The second point in the summary of chapter 8 is about Catherine as a double character. What does this mean? Well, Catherine begins to adopt a double character, behaving one way with Heathcliff and another with the Lintons. Heathcliff, on his part, begins keeping track of how much time she is spending with Edgar and the Lintons, and he is angry that Catherine belittles him when he confronts her with this. On his part, Edgar arrives at the end of the argument. The last point in the summary of this chapter is about Catherine's wild nature and the discovery of Catherine's wild nature by Edgar. How come? Okay. Nellie keeps herself in the room with Catherine during Edgar's visit, and this annoys Catherine greatly. Unable to convince Nellie to leave, Catherine ends up pinching Nellie and then lies about it. On his part, Edgar tries to intervene and Catherine boxes his ears. This is the first he has seen the wild side of Catherine, and he tells her that he must leave. However, on the way out, he sees Catherine through the window and returns. Later, Nellie interrupts the sweethearts to inform them that Mr. Earnshaw, that is to say Hindley, has returned home drunk again. And being drunk, is a sign for Hindley's downfall. Okay, now after giving a brief summary to chapter 8 in Wuthering Heights, now I will move into the commentary. Well, the commentary of chapter 8 also contains three important points. The first point is about Hindley's disintegration, that is to say, Hindley's downfall, as we have just said in the summary of this chapter. So, as a matter of fact, chapter 8 in Wuthering Heights is characterized by Hindley's disintegration and self-destruction. The most important question here is that what are the reasons behind Hindley's disintegration and self-destruction? Actually, Hindley's disintegration and self-destruction came from Frances' death, Hindley's wife. So, after his wife dies, Hindley starts a disintegration from which he never recovers. However, this disintegration leads him to his downfall, represented by avoiding his son, Harrington, on one part, and becoming a tyrannical drunkard on the other. So, Hindley's demise serves as an eerie precursor to Heathcliff's own downfall. Nevertheless, what is worth mentioning here is that Hindley's disintegration and self-destruction crowned by Heathcliff's pleasure. So Heathcliff takes pleasure witnessing Hindley's self-destruction and downfall. Continuously, another important point in the commentary of chapter 8 is that Nellie favors Heathcliff to Catherine. So in addition to showing Heathcliff's delight in the downfall of others, this chapter, perhaps more than any other, reveals Nellie's genuine dislike of Catherine. So she admits, I own I did not like her after her infancy was past, and claims she is as bad as married spoiled child. This admission, however, immediately draws suspicion on her reliability, and clearly at this point in time she favors Heathcliff to Catherine, although this does not always remain constant. Now, the last important point in the commentary of chapter 8 is love and cruelty. So, a connection between love and cruelty surfaces in this chapter and is repeated constantly and consistently throughout Wuthering Heights. Those characters, especially Heathcliff, exhibit the strongest love, that is, those who are most passionate also tend to be the cruelest. So Bronte explores this interconnection through the various types of relationships that she creates in Wuthering Heights. That was the end of our lecture today. For further reading, please refer to these references. Next lecture, I will discuss chapter 9 and 10 in Wuthering Heights. Thank you very much for your time and good luck.